In our modern world, filled with information about tech billionaires, people who are building the future with projects like colonizing Mars or revolutionizing transportation, we often only see the tip of the iceberg. We admire their intellect, their decisiveness, their extraordinary vision. But have you ever asked yourself, what's the true foundation for these seemingly impossible successes? Behind the massive numbers, the spectacular rocket launches, the game-changing decisions, is there a deeper source of strength that few people know about? Today, I want to tell you a story. A very private story, about one of the world's most influential figures, Elon Musk. It's not about Tesla electric cars or SpaceX rockets. It's about a simple prayer, an ancient wisdom passed down from his grandmother. A prayer he had forgotten for decades, dismissing it as childhood superstition, only to rediscover it during the darkest moments of his adult life. And that very prayer became the foundation for every major decision he has made since. This story isn't just for those who believe in a specific higher power, or for those who pray regularly. It's for all of us, those who are looking for guidance in a complex, anxious, and achievement-obsessed world. It's for those who carry the wisdom of departed loved ones, or those who crave a deeper direction than the modern world can offer. Because sometimes, the simplest truths are the most powerful. Ancient wisdom can illuminate modern decisions, and the voice of someone who loved you unconditionally can be the most important voice you will ever hear. Join me as we explore this extraordinary journey, where a quiet prayer shaped a legend. Let's turn back the clock to 1978, when a 7-year-old Elon Musk was in his grandmother Karora's small home in Pretoria, South Africa. Karora was in her 70s then, a woman who had lived through the horrors of the 20th century, 2 world wars, devastating economic crises, and personal tragedies that would have crushed most people. And yet, when Elon remembered her, he didn't remember a woman etched by hardship, but a woman etched by peace. She had a nightly ritual, after dinner, after the dishes had been washed and put away, she would sit in her old wooden chair by the window and pray. Not loud, dramatic prayers, but quiet conversations with what she simply called the Almighty. Young Elon, with his naturally inquisitive mind, always asked questions about everything. One night, he asked what she was saying in those moments of silence. She smiled, a smile that didn't dismiss the question but welcomed it. "I'm asking for guidance, my boy," she said in a soft voice that held more authority than any CEO Elon would ever meet later. "I'm asking to be shown the right path." "What if God doesn't answer?" the boy asked with the brutal honesty that only a child possesses. She smiled again. "Oh, he always answers, Elon, but sometimes we're too busy talking to listen." That sentence, so simple yet so profound, contained a deep wisdom that it would take Elon decades to truly comprehend. Karora, an illiterate woman, understood something profound about how the universe works. She didn't need thick books or advanced degrees to grasp this truth. Her wisdom came from life experience, from humility, and from the ability to listen. In our modern world, where information is exploding and noise is constant, the ability to listen seems to be fading. We're busy talking, expressing ourselves, seeking answers from the outside. We forget that sometimes, the most important answers come from silence. From listening to our inner voice. Or from the subtle signals that the universe sends us. Karora's lesson wasn't just about listening to a higher power, but about listening to life, listening to your own intuition, and listening to what truly matters, beyond the noise and distractions. It's a powerful reminder of the strength of humility and stillness in the search for guidance. That night, Karora taught Elon a prayer that would later become the most important thing anyone had ever given him. Only 26 words, but they contained an extraordinary power, a moral compass for every major decision in his life. The prayer goes like this: Lord, please help me to see what you see, to love what you love, and to do what you want me to do. Give me the courage to follow where you lead, even when I cannot see the whole path. And help me to trust that your plan is better than my own. Amen. 26 words. Elon Musk has probably said them tens of thousands of times since that night, though it took him 30 years to truly understand their deeper meaning. At age 7, he thought it was just a cute thing they said before bed. He had no idea that this simple prayer contained everything he would need to navigate the most challenging decisions of his life. Each line in this prayer is not just a phrase, but a life principle. A profound philosophy capable of changing how we view the world, how we act, and how we face challenges. It's a reminder of humility, of faith, and of setting aside the ego to serve a greater purpose. In the chapters to come, we will dissect each line of this 26-word prayer, exploring their profound meaning, and how they have shaped not only the life of a tech billionaire, but can also illuminate the path for any of us. Prepare to receive timeless lessons, simple truths with the power to change your life. For many years after that summer in Pretoria, Elon Musk didn't think much about his grandmother's prayer. He was busy with life as a child, then a teenager, and then a young adult, believing that intelligence and effort were all that was needed to solve every problem. He went to college, founded companies, made money, and achieved what, by all conventional measures, was considered success. He had built an empire, a formidable reputation. And yet, there was always something missing. A deeper sense of direction beyond quarterly goals or market opportunities. Like a giant ship speeding ahead, but lacking an internal compass. A purpose that transcended material achievements. The moment of rediscovery came in December 2008. It was one of the darkest periods of Elon Musk's life. Tesla was weeks away from bankruptcy. SpaceX had failed 3 consecutive rocket launches. He had poured his entire fortune from the sale of PayPal into these 2 companies and was facing the possibility that everything he had worked so hard to build would collapse. He sat in his office at 2 a.m., surrounded by financial forecasts that all pointed to failure. In that moment of desperation, he heard Karora's voice as clearly as if she were sitting next to him. Please help me to see what you see. The memory flooded back, the small house in Pretoria, the wooden chair by the window, the quiet certainty in her voice when she spoke of guidance and trust. He found himself uttering the words he hadn't said in decades. Lord, please help me to see what you see, to love what you love, and to do what you want me to do. Something changed in that moment. Not his circumstances. Tesla was still on the brink of bankruptcy. SpaceX had still failed. But his perspective had shifted. Instead of just seeing the immediate crisis, he began to see a bigger picture. What if this isn't just about saving the companies? What if this is about proving that sustainable transport is possible? That private space exploration can work. That a small team with the right mission can overcome giant competitors. This moment is a powerful reminder that sometimes, it is in the depths of despair that we find the light. When everything falls apart, when our plans turn to dust, that is when we are forced to let go of ego, let go of control, and open ourselves to a greater guidance. Crisis is not the end, but often the door to a profound transformation. An opportunity to redefine purpose and find a new, more powerful path. That is when we truly listen, as Karora taught. The first line of Karora's prayer, Lord, please help me to see what you see, is not a request for mystical visions or supernatural messages. For Elon Musk, it was a powerful reminder to set aside his personal ego, his short-term gains, and his selfish desires to perceive what is truly necessary. In this world, we often tend to see the world through our own lens. We see what we want to see, what serves our personal goals, our profits, or our reputation. Our ego, with its ambitions and fears, often clouds our vision, causing us to miss the bigger picture, the deeper needs of humanity. When Elon Musk says, help me to see what you see, he is practicing a deep humility. He is asking himself, what is truly needed for this world? Not just what will be profitable or impressive. When he looks at the climate crisis, he doesn't just see a potential market for electric cars. He sees an urgent need for sustainable transport. When he looks at the long-term survival of humanity, he doesn't just see a business opportunity in the space industry, he sees an essential need for multiplanetary capability. When he looks at the risks of artificial intelligence, he doesn't just see a field to dominate. He sees a need for brain-computer interfaces to keep humans relevant. These aren't business opportunities he calculated. These are needs he perceived when he learned to look beyond his personal interests. It was a shift from, what do I want, to, what does the world need? In our own lives, we can also apply this principle. Instead of just focusing on what we want to achieve for ourselves, let's try to set aside the ego and ask, what is truly needed in this situation? What will serve the greater good? Not just my own. This can be applied in our work, in our relationships, or even in small daily decisions. When we learn to see with the eyes of service, of necessity, we will open new doors, creative solutions that we had never imagined before. It's a liberating journey, helping us to escape the burden of the ego and connect with a greater purpose. After learning to see what you see, that is, to identify the world's true needs, the next line in Karora's prayer leads us to a deeper step. Love what you love. This is not just about perception, but about harmonizing our passion with what serves life, rather than just serving the ego. Have you ever felt that your work is a burden, a relentless series of tasks, whether you succeed or not? That's because sometimes we pursue passions only because they bring personal gain, recognition, or the feeling of an easy win. But when we learn to love what you love, we begin to love the problems that truly matter, not just the ones we can easily solve. We learn to love the challenges that push the boundaries of what's possible, not just the challenges that guarantee success. Elon Musk learned that when you love what serves life, work no longer feels like work. The 18-hour workdays, the constant pressure, the public criticism, all become secondary to the joy of being a part of something meaningful. It's a state that many people call flow, where the line between work and pleasure is erased. When you are truly passionate about a purpose greater than yourself, your energy seems endless, and obstacles are just stepping stones for you to climb. Think about this in your own life. What are you spending your time and energy on? Is your passion serving a greater purpose? Or is it just revolving around personal desires? When you start to align your passion with the direction of serving life, you will see a miraculous change. Work becomes more meaningful, relationships become deeper, and life becomes richer. This is an invitation for us to re-examine what we truly love. Are we loving the problems that society is facing, the challenges that humanity needs to overcome? Or are we just loving what's easy, what brings immediate benefit? When we learn to love what serves life, we not only change the world around us, but we also change ourselves, becoming stronger, more purposeful versions. It's a relentless journey of dedication and joy. After learning to see what you see and love what you love, the third line of Karora's prayer is a call to action, and do what you want me to do. This is about acting based on wisdom, not personal ambition or calculated gain. You know, not every good idea is yours to pursue. Not every problem is yours to solve. This prayer helps Elon Musk distinguish between what he is capable of doing and what he is called to do. He could have stayed at PayPal and become incredibly wealthy from online payments. He could have invested in real estate or hedge funds and lived a comfortable life. But when he prayed that prayer sincerely, electric cars and rockets to Mars were what he felt called to pursue, even though they seemed impossible. This calling is not always clear or logical according to conventional thinking. It often appears as a deep sense of purpose, an unexplainable urge to follow a certain path, even when that path is full of obstacles and risks. That's the difference between doing what you want to do and doing what you need to do, what the universe or a greater source of wisdom is guiding you to do. In our own lives, we also constantly face similar choices. Are we following safe, easy paths, or paths that society expects? Or are we brave enough to listen to our inner calling, no matter how crazy or illogical it may seem? Doing what you want me to do requires letting go of the ego, a trust that a greater plan is unfolding, and our role is to become a part of that plan. When action is guided by wisdom and A higher purpose. Our work not only brings material success but also deep fulfillment. It transforms personal efforts into meaningful contributions to the world. It's a journey of courage, of trust, and of living a life with purpose, beyond our own limitations. This is perhaps the most practical line in the entire prayer, and also one of the most difficult lessons to apply. Give me the courage to follow where you lead, even when I cannot see the whole path. You know, every great achievement requires you to take the first step before you can see the entire staircase. You have to start producing cars before you know how to make them profitable. You have to try launching rockets before you know how to land them successfully. The prayer doesn't ask for certainty of outcome. It asks for the courage to take the next step based on the guidance you have received so far. In life, we are often paralyzed by the fear of uncertainty. We want a detailed map, a perfect plan, a guarantee of the outcome before we dare to take a step. But life doesn't work that way. The biggest opportunities, the greatest breakthroughs, are often on the other side of uncertainty. Elon Musk learned that trying to see the whole path, to have guarantees about the outcome before committing to a direction, is a waste of energy. Instead, he focused on the next right step. For Tesla, that meant one more attempt to secure emergency funding. For SpaceX, that meant preparing for a final launch with everything they had learned from previous failures. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite fear. It's the trust that even when you can't see the destination, a greater source of wisdom is guiding you. It is the acceptance that failures are not the end, but valuable lessons. The necessary data to adjust your course. In your own journey, perhaps you are also standing at a crossroads, making decisions where you can't clearly see the outcome. Remember this prayer. Ask for the courage to take the next step, no matter how small or risky it may seem. Because it is those small, courageous steps, taken in the fog of uncertainty, that are the bricks that build the greatest achievements. It's a journey of faith, of perseverance, and of discovering the hidden strength within you. This is the hardest part of the prayer, but also the foundation of everything else, and help me to trust that your plan is better than my own. You know, we often believe that success comes from imposing our will on circumstances, from forcing outcomes through our intelligence and effort. We want to control everything, from the smallest details to the biggest picture. But this prayer asks us to hold our plans lightly, to be open to possibilities we never imagined. Elon Musk wanted Tesla to be profitable within 2 years. But the greater plan involved nearly a decade of struggle, which built capabilities they could never have developed otherwise. He wanted SpaceX to achieve orbit quickly and cheaply. But the greater plan involved failures that taught them lessons no amount of theoretical knowledge could provide. The final outcomes were better than anything he could have planned, but they required him to trust the process, even when he couldn't see where it was leading. This trust is not passivity or fatalism. It is the realization that our limited perspective can miss possibilities that become evident as we move forward. It is the liberation from the burden of controlling every outcome, allowing us to focus on our part of the process. When we let go of the need to control, we open up space for miracles to happen, things that go far beyond what we could have ever envisioned. In our own lives, we also constantly try to control everything. We make detailed plans, we worry about every worst-case scenario, and we feel disappointed when things don't go our way. But sometimes, the best thing we can do is let go, trust that a greater current is at play, and our role is to immerse ourselves in that current. This is the hardest prayer in the context of broken relationships and personal pain, but it is also the most liberating. It frees you from the burden of controlling outcomes and allows you to focus on your part of the process. When you believe that a greater plan is at work, failures become data, not disasters. Obstacles become stepping stones to breakthroughs you couldn't have imagined. It's a journey of letting go, of trust, and of discovering a profound peace, even in uncertainty. The power of this prayer isn't just limited to business or great projects. Elon Musk has seen it work in areas far beyond his work, especially when his personal life was in turmoil, when relationships broke down, when he felt disconnected from everything that mattered. This prayer always brought him back to the center. You know, in moments of personal pain, we often tend to blame others, circumstances, or fate. But this prayer helped Elon see things from a different perspective. When he prayed, "Help me to see what you see," in a relationship, in a conflict, in a disappointment, he often saw his own contributions to the problem that he had previously blamed on others. He saw the opportunities for growth hidden within the apparent failures. It was a powerful awakening, a shift from the role of victim to the role of responsibility, opening the door to healing and growth. When he prayed, "Love what you love," in a person, in a situation, in a challenge, love became a choice, not an emotion. It was a commitment to find the good in seemingly completely negative circumstances. Even when emotions were hurt, he still chose to love, chose to seek value, chose to see the potential. This is a profound lesson in mature love, where love is not just a fleeting passion but a conscious decision, a persistent commitment. And when he prayed, "Do what you want me to do," that was not what his hurt emotions wanted to do, not what his pride demanded, but what would truly heal, help, and move things forward. Because, the right action is often the hardest action, the most vulnerable choice. The response that requires you to be bigger than your current emotional state. Even when I cannot see the whole path. Because healing doesn't come with a timeline, because growth doesn't follow a predictable pattern, because faith is only meaningful when the outcome is uncertain. And help me to trust that your plan is better than my own is perhaps the hardest prayer in the context of broken relationships and personal pain, but it is also the most liberating. It frees you from the burden of controlling outcomes and allows you to focus on your part of the process. This prayer helped Elon Musk not only overcome business crises but also heal personal wounds, rebuild relationships, and find peace in the most chaotic of times. It is a testament to the power of inner wisdom and faith, capable of turning the most painful experiences into opportunities for growth and transformation. Have you ever wondered how someone like Elon Musk, with a packed schedule and immense pressure, can maintain optimism and decisiveness in the face of seemingly impossible challenges? The answer lies in a simple habit. A daily ritual he has maintained. Karora's prayer. Every morning, before checking his phone, his schedule, or diving into the day's urgent demands, Elon Musk repeats his grandmother's prayer. It takes only 30 seconds. But those 30 seconds shape everything that follows. The prayer reminds him that he's not just building companies, he's participating in something greater. He's not just solving problems, he's serving purposes that transcend his personal interests. He's not just making decisions, he's following guidance from a source of wisdom that sees more than he can. This doesn't make him passive or less strategic. If anything, it makes him more decisive, because he isn't paralyzed by the need to calculate every possible outcome before acting. He can commit fully to the path he's been given, knowing that adjustments will come when needed. In our own lives, we also get caught in the whirlwind of urgent demands, constant notifications, and detailed plans. We often start our days with anxiety, with to-do lists, and with the pressure to control everything. But what would happen if we took the first few minutes of each day to connect with a greater source of wisdom, to realign ourselves with a higher purpose? This habit not only helped Elon Musk maintain optimism but also turned failures into data, not disasters. Even setbacks became stepping stones to breakthroughs he couldn't have imagined. When you believe that the wisdom behind the universe is guiding your steps, everything makes sense. Practicing a morning ritual, whether it's prayer, meditation, or simply a few moments of stillness to center yourself, can significantly change how you face the day. It helps you reduce stress, increase focus, and maintain an optimistic perspective, even when facing the greatest challenges. That's the power of a small habit, capable of shaping your entire life. Karora passed away when Elon Musk was only 12, too young for him to truly appreciate what she had given him. She never saw Tesla or SpaceX, or any of the projects that defined his adult life. But in a very real sense, she made all of that possible. Not because she funded them, or connected him with the right people, or taught him technical skills, but because she taught him how to listen for guidance deeper than his own understanding. She taught him how to align his will with something greater than his ego. She taught him how to trust a process, even when he couldn't see the destination. In a world that celebrates material achievements, advanced degrees, and specialized knowledge, Karora's story is a powerful reminder of the value of ancient wisdom, of lessons passed down through generations, often from the most humble of sources. She was not a scientist, an engineer, or a businesswoman. She was just an ordinary woman, but she possessed a profound understanding of life, of faith, and of how to navigate its challenges. Her legacy is not inventions or assets. Her legacy is a 26-word prayer, a moral compass that shaped the mindset, decisions, and risk tolerance of one of the world's most influential men. It is the foundation beneath every foundation, the strategy behind every strategy. This story shows that the most important Lessons often come from the simplest sources. Sometimes, a grandmother's prayer contains everything you need to build the life you were meant to live. Wisdom isn't found only in thick books or complex lectures. It can be found in a simple phrase, a daily habit, or a deep insight from a loved one. The important thing is whether we are humble enough to listen and brave enough to follow that guidance. You don't have to believe in Elon Musk's grandmother's God to benefit from her wisdom. You don't have to pray these exact words to access the principles they contain. But I encourage you to consider the possibility that there is a guidance available to you beyond your own analysis, your own experience, your own understanding. Maybe there's a bigger perspective than your current view, a deeper love than your current capacity, a more comprehensive plan than your current strategy. The world often tells you to believe in yourself, to follow your passion, to make your own way. But sometimes, the most radical thing you can do is to ask to be shown a path that is better than the one you would choose for yourself. Sometimes, the most sophisticated strategy is the simplest prayer. Sometimes, the voice of an illiterate grandmother holds more wisdom than all the experts, consultants, and thought leaders combined. Sometimes, 26 words whispered by someone who loved you unconditionally can guide you better than 1,000 pages of business theory and self-help advice. If you had a grandmother like Karora, remember what she taught you. If you didn't, consider borrowing her prayer until you find your own. If prayer feels foreign to you, think of it as asking for guidance from whatever source of wisdom you trust the most. Your intuition, nature, your community, or a cosmic force you feel. The challenges you're facing right now, the decisions that keep you up at night, the direction you need to choose for your life. Maybe what you need isn't more information, more options, or more time to analyze. Maybe what you need is the courage to ask for guidance and the wisdom to trust what you receive. Maybe what you need is to remember that you are not alone on this journey. Maybe what you need is a prayer that connects you to something bigger than your own understanding. Elon Musk carries his grandmother with him every day in those 26 words. Her faith, her peace, her certainty. That guidance is always available to those humble enough to ask. That prayer has guided him through business crises and personal failures, through moments of doubt and seasons of growth, through seemingly impossible decisions and seemingly miraculous outcomes. It can guide you, too. Share this story with those who need to remember that they are not alone in their decisions. Remember that the most important lessons often come from the simplest sources. Sometimes, a grandmother's prayer contains everything you need to build the life you were meant to live. The guidance is always there. The question is whether you are humble enough to ask and brave enough to follow where it leads.